Hello friends, welcome to C# programming. In this video, we are going to discuss about working with arrays in C# programming. So here we are going to discuss about how to create an array variable for storing multiple data. Then we are going to discuss about how to access the array values using the index. And we are going to discuss about how to iterate all the values using for loop as well as for each loop. Then we will be discussing about how to create empty array, then how to store data dynamically by getting user input. Then we are going to discuss about how to pass the array variable to a method in C# programming. And finally, we are going to discuss about params keyword and what is the application of params keyword with respect to arrays in C# programming. So let us start with an example how to create array variable. Here first we'll be discussing about how to create an array variable for storing multiple data. So first we need to start with a data type for storing a specific type of data. For example, assume that we want to store 5 numbers in an array, right? So we can start with the int. So integer data type, then square bracket for to specify this as a array variable, and followed by we need to specify the variable name. For example, I want to store numbers, so we can use like this. And if you want to assign some values, we can use this bracket. You can use this array initializer bracket. So this is called array initializer. We can put some data, for example 10, 20, 30, 45, 78, 90. So some random numbers I have mentioned here. So this will be stored in the array. Now, so this is the way we have to create array variable with values. So here directly I am assigning values. Similarly, we can also create empty array also, that we will discuss later. So now once you create array, how to access the array? Suppose if I want to access a particular data, for example, I want to access 45 from this array. So we can access by using index. So for that you have to use the print statement right line function. Then inside we can use array variable. Within square bracket we have to mention the index point. So first number 10 is located in 0th index and 20 is located in index number 1, 30 is 2, 45 is 3, right? So we have to access this 45, we have to give the index as 3. So by using 3 index number 3, we can able to access the particular data. Now I'm going to save the program and we'll see the output. So to see the output, we need to use one more function called read key, so that we can see the output screen on the output window on the screen. So now we can save the program and we can see the output. So here you can see the output. It prints 45. So here you can see that the output is actually coming as 45, right? So like this we can access any data from array using index, right? So this is about how to access a particular element. Suppose if I want to access all the elements, okay, so we need to go for a for loop or for each loop we have to use. So for example, if I want to print all the elements, so what you can use to display all the elements, so we can use for loop, right? So how to use for loop? For keyword, then followed by as a normal for loop, int, initialization and condition. So we can start with the int I equal to 0 and I less than. Here we have to run the for loop from 0th index till the length of the array. So length we can access in C# programming using cap letter L, length property we have to apply, then followed by I++. Okay. So now here next we can write the we can display the data by using console.writeLine within bracket numbers of the particular index. Okay, we have to use a square bracket and we have to specify the index. So when I is equal to 0, it will print 10, and similarly when I is equal to 1, it will print 20. When I is equal to 2, it will print 30. Okay, we can see the output here. So save the program and we can execute this program. So now here you can see the output. It's printing 45, 10, 20, 30, 45, 78, 90. So this is what how to apply for loop for accessing all the elements. So iterating array values. For example, here first one we are using for loop, iterating array values, right? The same way we can also iterate array values using for each loop also. So let us see how to do that. So just I'll comment this code. So for commenting we can use slash star and we can comment multiple lines. So now another way of accessing all the elements is we can use a for loop, for each loop. So for example, for each within bracket. So first we need to create one temporary variable called I. Then in operator we have to use. In operator get all the data from the array collection, right? So then followed by the array name. So numbers, then open bracket, close bracket. So here how to understand this for each loop is just like a iteration, right? So for each value in the particular numbers array, this for loop will be executed. Okay, so it will start from the first number and it will go in a sequence order, start from first number till the last number. So first iteration, during first iteration the I will be getting the first value 10, then it will execute whatever logic we are writing inside the for loop. So for example, I'm going to print the data. So just I have to print the I value, right? So this is about how to display the data of an array using for each loop. So here let us see the output how it is. So I'll close the previous output. This is a previous output, and for this program let us see the output. So here also the same output comes using for each loop 45, 10, 20, 30, 45, 78, 90. So like this we can apply for each loop for iterating array values one by one. So now we are going to see how to create empty array and how to store data by getting input. So for example, here I am going to delete all these items now. Here we are going to see how to create empty array. So empty array means there is no values inside the array initially. There is no value. The values will be stored during runtime. That is dynamically we are getting input and we are assigning the data in the for loop. So we are how to create empty array. So to create empty array, first you have to start with the data type, then square bracket, then variable name. For example, I want to store some numbers. So equal to, we have to use new operator for creating an empty array with a type and with the how many number of data you want to store. For example, you can say that 5 or 10, some numbers we can put. So usually this size, you can give a size of the array. Okay, so this size usually we can use in two ways. So size we can statically we can assign some value, or we can take it as input also. Okay, so for example, let's try to take input. Okay, so we'll ask the user to give the size of the array, console.write. Inside we can ask enter the size of the array, right? So now this size we can store it in a integer variable size, then int dot parse, or we can use convert function for converting the input as integer value, right? So now first we are getting a size, how many values you want to store. So we have to take the size and we can able to mention the size when we are creating an array variable, right? So this way we can create a empty array. So this line, okay, not this line. So actually this line, okay, creates empty array. So after creating the empty array, now we want to store data in this empty array in every index, right? So we have to use iteration, right? So here also we have to apply the iteration for loop. So in the previous example we have discussed how to iterate using for loop, right? So using the iteration for loop, we are going to store the data in each index. In each index we are going to store the data, right? So how to store the data? We have to use a for loop, int I equal to 0, and the size you can directly give, or we can take the recommended way of taking sizes numbers dot length property, and we have to use I plus plus. then followed by the for loop, body of the for loop. Inside this for loop we can write logic for storing each and every data in a specific index. When I is equal to 0, we are going to store the first value. So numbers of I equal to, we are going to store the first value. So how will you store? Int dot parse within bracket console dot readline. So console dot readline, we are getting input and we are converting as integer format, and we are storing in the particular index position, right? So this is what happening, right? So when I is equal to 0, first data we are going to store. When I is equal to 1, we are going to store second data. When I is equal to 2, we are going to store the third data. So like this till the end of the, till the size, okay, we are going to store those many numbers. So before storing, what you have to do is we have to ask the user to enter the numbers, enter the values, right? So you can use one print statement. You can ask the user enter the values. So just for in user friendly, to make it user friendly, so we have to give convey the message, right? Enter the values, right? So this is how we can get data from the user, and we can store the data in array in a dynamic way, right? So during runtime we can store it, right? So after storing it, for checking this whether it is stored or not, we can display. So how to display? Just next we'll write a logic for display the all the elements, right? So for display purpose we can use for each loop, right? So in simple way we can use for each loop int data in numbers, okay? So we can use any variable, not only I. So here data also we can use, no problem, any variable we can use. So we can write a console dot write line. Inside just you have to print the data, right? So whatever data I have given as a input, it will be displayed in as a output, right? So here we can, before displaying, we can also say that some message we can say array created, the data given below, the data given below we can write just like, just for understanding, right? Array created, data is given below, right? So like this we can confirm the user that array has stored successfully, and we can see the data, right? So like this we have to create empty array, and we can use for loop for storing the data, and for each loop for displaying the data. So now let us see the output. So I'll close this console, we'll save it, and we can run the program. So now it is asking enter the size. For example, I want to store 5 numbers, so I'll put 5. So 10, 45, 67, 78, 90. So now we are getting the acknowledgement array created, the data is given below. So here we can see the array created, data is given below. So this is how we can create empty array, and we can store the data inside the array variable, right? So next, one more concept, how to pass this array to a method. So I'm going to create an extra method. So for example, static void some function name, okay? So for example, I want to check whether the same program we can apply, like I want to calculate the sum of all the elements in the array, okay? So for example, sum of all items, okay? This is a function sum of all items in the array, okay? So in this sum of all items, the input, the parameter is I'm going to give as a array values, okay? So here we can create an array variable name. So the variable name can be different, okay? It is not, it's actually the variable name you can change it. It need not be a same variable name. So what we can do is, you can use instead of numbers we can use nums, okay? Just short form, or any other variable we can use. So this method can accept array as a value, right? So look at this parameter. So what is this one? This is a parameter which can accept array variable, right? Array collection, right? So when you want to do sum of all the items, we can use this function, we can call the function. Otherwise we can keep it short form sum. Okay, so sum will take an array of items. Okay, and this array of items, the logic we are going to write inside this particular method, right? So what we can do is, here to find the sum of array items, so it will find the sum and we have to return the result, right? So we have to return the result. So here we can use int as a return type. So, and here we can create a result variable, result equal to, we can call the function sum of this numbers. We can pass this collection, this particular array collection. So here we are calling the method and we are passing the array to the method. So here only the concept comes, how we are passing array collection, array data to method, right? So this complete array I'm going to pass it to other function. There I'll be doing some computation, for example calculating sum of all the array items, right? So here now, and this will call this sum function, and the result will be stored in this particular result variable, right? So we can print this result variable, result plus, we can give the variable, right? So this is done. Now the sum function, we have to write the logic. Okay, so we can write sum equal to, so here we have to take some other variable, total equal to 0. Now we can run a for each loop, and inside for each loop, total plus equal to x. So what is this x? X is a variable we have used in the for each loop to get all the data, iterate every data. So we are taking every data and we are adding it, and finally this total will be having the sum of all the array items, right? So we have to return the total, right? So just we have to write return total. Okay, so we are getting that logic here, right? So this is what method. Okay, this is what method which will have the parameter array parameter, right? So here this nums is a array parameter, and here we are passing the collection of data in an array variable to the method. Okay, now we can test this program. So now we are getting the output. So now it is asking size of the array. So I'm going to give the size again 5. I'm going to give it is asking enter the values. I'll give 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So now the result I am getting as 150. So the program is successfully executed and we are getting the expected output, right? So here what we have understand, how to pass array data to a method. So here we have written a method, static sum method, and here we have included one parameter which is an array type parameter. So that will accept an array variable, right? So here when we are calling the method, we are passing the array to the method. So this is what the concept, right? Now finally we are coming to the last topic called params keyword. So params keyword is related to array concept, and using params keyword we can create dynamic array. Dynamic array means this array variable can accept 1 data, 2 data, 10 data, 100 data, any number of data this array variable can accept. Okay, so by using just params keyword. Okay, but this params keyword only applicable for parameter, method parameter. When you use method parameter, we can use this params keyword for accepting variable length array, right? So for example, assume that in this program, okay, this program I'll just remove it for understanding the params keyword. Just I'll keep this sum function. Okay, just I'll keep the sum function. So here now look at this. Here I have a sum function which will perform sum of all the elements in this array variable, right? So in this array variable we can pass an array variable, right? Usually we have to pass array variable. So now in this main function I want to do this operation. For example, the result equal to sum of, I want to pass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So now these values are actually not acceptable now, right? Even though this is a array variable, the values we cannot directly we cannot pass. Okay, suppose I want not only 5 numbers, sometimes I want to give 2 numbers, or sometimes I want to give multiple numbers, 100 numbers. Okay, so if you want to make it work, we need variable length or array variable. Okay, sorry, variable length array variable we need. So in order to make it variable length array, so we can add one keyword called params. So this params keyword makes this array as a dynamic array. It can accept any number of data from the calling function. So now look at this. In this sum we can pass one data, 2 data, 3 data, any number of data we can able to pass. Okay, so now when I'm passing these data, so we'll be getting a result console.writeLine. So I'm going to display the result. So result colon equal to, right? Okay, so now we can execute this program and we can check whether params keyword is working fine or not. So we'll execute this program and look at this output. Here you can see we are getting the result as 15, right? So it is working, right? 1 2 3 4 5, it's working, it's added, right? The same way this particular logic we can also pass. Look at this one more time. I can call the function with the different data: 20, 200, 45, 67, 89, 90, 100, so many data. Okay, I can give so many data, right? So 1000, 134, 1234, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So there is no limit of sending the data to this particular params keyword. So params keyword makes this array variable as a dynamic array. So dynamic array means like variable length. Okay, the length of the array can be changed, depends on the data we are passing. Okay, so here I have passed so many data, right? For example, 2 4 5, again 2 4 5, 11 data I have passed. Okay, so still that will work. Okay, so now let us see the output again. So you can see, now look at this. This function is working for both input. Like when I am passing 5 number, it is working. When I am passing 11 numbers, it is working, right? So params keyword, the application of params keyword is to make the array dynamic, so that it can accept any number of arguments and all the data will be stored in this array variable. So one important rule is here is this should be array variable. This particular variable should be array variable. Then only we can keep it as params keyword here. Okay, so we can pass any number of arguments for this particular method. So that's what the application of params keyword. So that's all about array concept in C# programming. Thank you.